here's the Ramsey baby steps in a nutshell. Baby step number 1, $1,000 starter emergency fund. So this is just a little buffer between you and life. And we found that 4 in 10 people have $0 in savings. And so this is a huge milestone just to have $1,000 in the bank for most Americans. Once you have that $1,000, you move on to baby step 2, and you do these with focused intensity in order.
Could I raise a point of contention right there? Because I was on Caleb Hammer's thing where he does like
saw
a
this
financial
clip.
audit, yes, and he said that Dave claims, or he's proud that he hasn't changed his philosophy in like 30 some years or something like that. And Caleb said, if I hadn't changed my philosophy in 30 some years, that's not something I would necessarily be proud of. And this was directly related to that step, $1,000 emergency fund, which over time, especially with inflation, has become a lot less valuable.
No. Was it $1,000 30 years ago versus that? Really?
It's always been 1,000.
So what?
Oh my
like
gosh,
how
yes,
long?
that would be about $2,000 to $3,000.
Yeah. So how long until that 1,000 gets changed to something else?
2048. No, I'm just kidding. There's not a,
Because I'm wondering, like,
Well,
at
here's
some
the funny
point, it's going to
thing.
be diluted to basically like a lollipop.
yeah,
you
we're
know?
thinking about this in terms of math, right? Of like, well, $1,000 30 years
good
ago,
round number.
it's $3,000 now, but it was never about math. Because truthfully, $1,000 even back then with a true emergency still wouldn't cover it. And so the idea of baby step 1 is not to have a mathematical number that covers your emergencies. It's to light a fire under you to actually attack the debt. Because if we said, hey, it's $5,000 for baby step 1, most people are going to fall off the wagon. Now, you guys are sharp guys. You would knock that out. For most people that we talk to, that's a big struggle. They need a quick win. And the second thing it does is it actually does cover all of the ankle biter emergencies. Like when you think about a lot of the emergencies in your life, it's not necessarily the HVAC and the $5,000 car repair. It's the $200 you have to pay to the plumber, or in your case, maybe the locksmith. You know,
You
so-
know about that. Okay.
you know, it's those kinds of things. And so a lot of it is mental fear of like, you know, and you guys, you're willing to take a lot more risk financially than I am. And so the $1,000, the fact that scares you, but you're so willing to take risks in other places, there's just a mental hurdle to get past where you go, I'm going to get $1,000 and I'm going to follow this proven plan because it works. And that's the wild part is it feels like it's not enough. And yet millions of people do it and they go, oh, I survived. I made it.
Sure.
That's actually really
And
interesting.
it's not a long-term thing because remember, baby step 2, when we tell people to get out of debt, on average, it takes people 18 to 24 months to get out of all consumer debt.
Huh.
And so then you fully fund that emergency fund to
Right.
3 to 6 months of expenses, which is, you know, widely regarded as the right number.
Yeah.
So it's just the introduction to the new philosophy.
Exactly.
Okay.
This is
Actually,
not meant to be
that
your
makes
long-term
sense.
savings.
Okay. Let's
It's
go on to the
just
next,
a buffer.
Yeah.
the next couple steps.
So this one, I'm sure you'll have contention here too.
Oh, no.
Baby step 2, pay off all consumer debt using the debt snowball method.
Okay. What's the snowball method?
So the snowball method means we are looking at all the balances and ignoring the interest rate. I know, Graham, just go with me.
Okay.
Go with me. Defy logic.
I'm really trying here.
Delete the
All
interest rates out of your head. Look at the balances. Pay all minimum payments on all of those balances except for the smallest one. And with that smallest one, we are attacking it with a vengeance. Everything you can sell, side jobs, any margin you can create by slashing expenses, we throw onto that smallest debt. And what does that do? Well, it speeds up the process. And so that debt's knocked out. We free up a payment. So now we can apply all the margin we had plus that payment that got freed up towards the next debt. And so you can see the snowball gets more snow as it rolls down the hill.
So it sounds like the baby steps aren't attacking like financial instability from the most advantageous angle, but it's more so doing it from like fixing the psychology of financially broken people.
Oh, yeah. We say all the time that personal finance is 80% behavior. It's only 20% head knowledge. We all know what to do, right? We all know not to go into credit card debt and not to overspend and to live on less than we make. But it's so hard to do. And so when it comes to getting out of debt, we can't go in the same way to get out. And so it's got to take behavior change and sacrifice. And Graham, you said this in one of your past clips where you reacted to that living on less than you made is one of the best financial decisions you've ever made.
Yeah. Dave
that's
Ramsey's
key.
really a therapist, is what I've realized.
That is a hard pill for me to swallow because I'm like, I just feel like you got to do like the financially smart thing if you're just looking at the numbers. But it actually makes,
thing is, I
makes
think
a lot of sense.
if
Well,
you're
there's a lot of
speaking to-
emotion. I know, you know, it's a lot of logic, but there's so much emotion tied up with money that's subconscious that we don't really think about, talk about. But think about every purchase you've made. There was some emotion tied to it. Some of it was necessity, right? You have to pay the light bill. But some of it is just like, I saw it, I want it, I'm going to get it. That's most of our consumer culture today.
I feel like, too, for Dave, if you're speaking to a room of 1,000 people, probably 900 of them
Yes.
have a
Right.
behavior problem, and maybe 100 people would do better with the avalanche method,
Which is let's attack the highest
pay
interest
highest
first.
interest rate. But for 900 of those people, they'd be
Yes.
better off just starting with the bottom and working their way up.
Yeah.
That's what I brought up to Dave on the first time, and I'll ask you that question at the end of the episode. Another retention hack. But let's go on to the third baby step.
Okay, so baby step 3, once we have all of our debt paid off, all consumer debt, we have $1,000 in the bank saved. Now we go back and fully fund that emergency fund with 3 to 6 months of expenses.
Okay.
Not income, but expenses. So bare bones expenses. What would it take if you guys lost all of your income and you had to survive for 3 to 6 months? And so that part, on average, takes our folks about 6 months to do.
Okay, I like that.
So all in on this plan, from having a pile of debt to being debt-free with money in the bank to cover emergencies, we're talking 2.5 years, which for most people sounds like a long time.
It does, yeah.
Like if you're 24 years old, you're going, I'm going to be a grown adult by then.
Almost 27.
But 2.5 years is going to be here whether you like it or not. So the question is, do you want to remain broke because you thought you were a financial genius, or do you want to have no payments in the world with a pile of money to cover you? And so it's a freeing thing when you get to that point.
Sure.
I like that. Yeah.
And then what's after that?
So then we can start talking about investing. And so here's the problem.
Okay, yeah.
When we talk about baby step 2, this is going to grind your gears. We say to pause all investing, including your employer match, when you're getting out of debt.
I did not know it was including employer match.
Everything. Down to zero.
Well, you got to think most likely that employer match is not going to be that big in the big picture compared to paying off debt right now. I mean,
we're
yes,
talking
it's
about
going to be better.
You're pausing your 3% match for 2 years. But when you come back, here's the thing. I found most people are only investing up to the match because it's all they can afford.
Yeah.
They're broke. So we go, hey, what if 2.5 years from now, instead of investing 3%, you can invest 15%? So we 5x'd our investment contributions at that point.
Yeah.
You're going to make up for lost time. The problem is most people stay doing 17 things at once, and 20 years later, they're still doing 17 things at once and haven't made the progress they wanted.
Yeah. It's probably better to focus on fewer things. Get really good at I got to do these 3 things and that's it.
That's the
I can
plan.
see that.
So baby steps 1 through 3, focus intensity 1 at a time. Baby steps 4, 5, and 6, you actually do at the same time, but they're still in that order. So there's still priority. 4 comes before 5, but it's a plate that you get spinning, and then you move on to the next one. So baby step 4 is 15% of your household income into retirement accounts.
Have you found that 15 is like the magic number? Why not 20? Because I feel like 15, I think if you say 15% of your income, I think the average retirement is like 45 years, is how much it takes you to be able to replace your income.
Yeah, we found, there's been different numbers. Some people say, like, hey, if you're not doing 20% at least
Right.
with inflation and everything going on, like, you're not going to be able to retire. But what we found is the reason 15% is a sweet spot is because it allows you to have some margin to do baby steps 5 and 6, which is college and early mortgage payoff. Because if you do 20%, there's not a lot of room left to help your kid go to college debt-free if they choose to do so. Not a lot of room left to pay off the mortgage early, which then frees you up later in life.
Sure. Okay.
So that's where we go, hey, 15% into, we say match beats Roth beats traditional. So that's the investing strategy in a nutshell. No secrets here. You want to get that match first because that's 100% return on your investment. Then move on to Roth because we love the tax-free growth for most people. If you're younger, Roth is going to be a better option for the long term. And then you can move on to traditional.
Got it.
Okay, so that's 5 and 6, and then the final one?
So 5 would be saving for college, and that varies again because some people don't go to college. Some people might be late for them, but put money away in a 529 plan, for example, because college is getting more expensive. And so if your kid does choose to go to college, and that's the right path for them, it's hard for a kid at 18 to have $100,000 saved. And so to have a parent get ahead of that, and we've done a whole documentary on this called Borrowed Future that's free on YouTube. And I hosted a podcast series with the same name, and we dug into this crisis about like, how did we get here? The entire student loan industry is a giant scam, and they decided they can just raise prices because people are willing to take out debt to pay for it. And so the whole thing got real muddy real quick, and here we are, $1.7 trillion in student loan debt with 45 million
What was the
borrowers.
conclusion on that? Why is college so expensive, and why are the costs going up so much?
It started with a lot of good intentions from the government to kind of get in bed with the student loan companies and go, like, we should make this federally backed.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it became like, this is a money pumping machine for Sally Mae. And so if they raise the prices, people go, well, okay, we'll just take out more student loan debt. And the government's backing this.
Yeah.
This is a good idea. And so that became a cycle where the student loan companies are making record profits every year. The students, as you guys know, like the wages didn't go up 500%. And so they're leaving, still making 40, 50 grand, but now they have $200,000 of student loan debt. And what did we tell our kids growing up? Get good grades, get good SAT scores so you can go to the college of your dreams, regardless of what it costs. And so that all of a sudden you have 45 million people fall into this trap of student loan debt, which I think we could all argue is not the greatest form of debt as far as ROI. Some people,
Agreed.
it's great. They'll if you're going to be a doctor and you're going to go make $300,000-$400,000, there's some pretty clear math you could do to say like there's ROI on this. But going and getting like a liberal studies degree and going like, well, I was told a degree's the path. I mean, you guys know that degrees do not equal success. And as we go further in time, that is more and more true. And so that's a huge part of saving for college. And then baby step 6 is paying off the mortgage early. Again, there's no parameters on this. We found that people who follow our plan end up paying off their mortgage in about 7 years. And the average millionaire from our study pays it off in about 10 years.
It's tough for me, like a 2.875% 30-year fixed. I remember the last
You're
time we were...
2.875?
Yeah.
What are you?
2.874.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, it's the same thing. I just round up.
That's a win.
Oh, you
That's a
were-
win for our boy Jack.
Yeah, it's the .99 basically. It's rounded up.
Okay.
So we're arguing
we're at
over
the same
like
thing.
an extra $2 a month.
It's something like that. Well, mine's the same. I rounded
It's the
up.
same?
Yeah, it's
Dang,
the same
I thought I
thing.
beat you.
So
man.
here's a
same
question,
thing,
because I know
but
you
like-
bought your first rental property in cash.
I did.
Why not take out a mortgage to do that?
I tried.
Oh, and they
Yeah,
didn't let
I got
you.
denied because I didn't have a credit card.
Oh.
And believe it or
you didn't have a
not-
credit score. This is
Correct.
an interesting discussion
Correct.
here.
And yeah. So that was one of my biggest regrets. That's what actually really got me into credit cards to begin with.
You were like,
'Cause I
well,
had-
I'm not going to fall for this
I
again.
had no debt. I paid everything with cash and I saved. So at the time, I think I was 20 years old, give or take. I had like 120 grand saved up in cash. I bought everything with cash. I bought my car cash. I used a debit card on everything. I was so proud. It's like I had no debt and I've never needed to borrow money for anything. I was so proud of that. So when I wanted to go and buy a property, I spoke with several mortgage brokers. All of them were like, if you don't have a credit card, you need a cosigner. I couldn't get a cosigner because my parents did not have a good credit score at the time.
Yeah, who wants to
They
cosign
didn't
for
have-
a 20-year-old's mortgage? I mean, that's scary.
Oh, yeah, totally. So I couldn't get any sort of cosigner. My grandma offered, but she was Canadian. And there was a big issue having a Canadian cosign on my mortgage as an American. So couldn't do that. And so I had to buy the property cash. But I went several routes. I think one lender offered me, it was like an 8 or 9% interest. Like it was so high, it just didn't make sense for me to take, so I bought it cash. And after that, I vowed I'm going to get a credit card. I'm going to build up my credit score. I'm going to make a huge change here. And so now that's why I'm like such an advocate of like, hey, get a credit card, build your credit score. You could do it for free. It's really easy. And now I've got like an 805 credit score. Anywhere I want to get money from, I get it at the lowest interest rate.
But to have money, like you have enough money that you never need to borrow money, in a sense.
In a sense, but it makes sense in my tax bracket though, because I could use everything as a deduction.
This is
against
like
my
the
income.
Kiyosaki, like, well, debt's not taxed. It's the ultimate wealth hack.
Pretty much. But if I'm looking to buy a property, whatever debt I have against that property is just a write-off against the rental income. So already it knocks off like 40% of what I would be paying. So like I save 40% just taking out debt on that.
And
I
I
get to
remember
leverage my
your
money.
discussion with Dave on this when you showed
Yeah.
him all your properties and you was like, hey, what would you change? And he was like, I mean, I'd pay off all the mortgages. He's like, just
Yeah.
to reduce risk. It's not mathematically in the picture here. But yeah, when it comes to the interest rate, and I actually did a no credit score mortgage back in 2019 successfully. So I just want to say that it can be done. And it wasn't that hard, honestly. I was kind of shocked at how easy it was. You know, you just submit a bunch of documents, your tax return, 12 months of rental history, proof of payments like insurance, cell phone bills. And
Well, they've gotten better about it, I've seen, but this was back in 2010. A lot of those
Oh,
things,
yeah.
they weren't taking into account cell phone payments, utility bills, things like this.
yeah. And Churchill Mortgage, which we've, has been an advertiser with Dave for decades
Right.
now. They're like the number one in the industry. And so they walk you through the whole process. And I did a 15-year. And we actually ran the numbers on this because a lot of people, I posted a video that went viral on TikTok and it got so much hate. But people were like, well, yeah, if you want a 49% interest rate, you can try that guy's method. And I was like, I got the same rate that someone with excellent credit would have gotten. So we ran the numbers on this with some of the mortgage loan officers there. And it turns out if you do a 15-year fixed rate mortgage, which is the only mortgage we recommend at Ramsey, and you do at least 10% down, which we always recommend, 10% down,
Yeah.
then you would have the same exact interest rate as someone with excellent credit.
On a what? On a 15 or a 30?
On the 15-year with 10% down, you'd have the same rate. And so that argument was just debunked with actual data from the mortgage quotes. But it's an interesting topic because I was, you're kind of worried. Like when you want to be a homeowner and there's one thing in your way and that's the credit score, it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
But having the data in front of you to go, okay, I need 12 months rental history. Most people are going to have that. I've paid my insurance and cell phone bills on time. I have my tax return. I can get a mortgage.
But
And
it
so
could also be just as easy to get like a secured credit card, a $300 limit. Put a few charges on the card every month that you would spend anyway. Like put your gas on the card. Like every time you go to the gas station, put it on the card
Sure.
and pay it off in full. If even like immediately afterwards when it posts, pay it off.
yeah, there's a lot of ways to
Yeah.
skin that cat. But I found if you're going through the whole Ramsey plan from start to finish,
Mm-hmm.
when we're like, hey, do a plastectomy and cut up the credit card and close the accounts, there is a finality to the breakup that is also very freeing to go like, I don't have to keep up with what's the latest credit. I mean, I love your videos, but like the one, here's the 5 best credit cards to get in 2023,
love
and here's the
those,
ones,
yeah.
here's the rotating cash back, and if restaurants this month are 5%, I'm like, but the whole point is we're trying to limit our expenses and be intentional and be on a budget. So getting 5% back on eating out, which is something that's going to cost you way more than
Yeah.
eating at home, it kind of negates the cost, especially when you go, if you carry a balance, you're now at 24% APR.
If
on
you
that
don't pay it
balance.
off in full. But my thought is that if you're going to a restaurant anyway, you may as well save 5%.
So
if you're going to do it
yeah,
anyway.
which again, like very controversial take
Yeah.
from Dave is you shouldn't be eating out if you're trying to aggressively pay off consumer debt.
Yeah.
Like, and as someone who, we're both pretty frugal guys, like it is unwise to go out and spend $30-$40 on, we went out and it was like, there's a 20% gratuity automatic. There's a 15% liquor tax on top of the
Is
tax
there?
if you got a cocktail.
Or you just don't drink.
Exactly. There's another life hack. And so all of a sudden you go, there's no way this is cheaper than eating at home. And so the whole idea of like eating at home, and I get people are like, well, your time, I saw the Alex Hormozy clip where he's like, you should never eat at home. You're an idiot if you eat at home. You should always be eating out. Like your time is worth so much more. I'm like, for most people, their time isn't worth that much more. Like
he's talking to the
he's making millions of
0.1%.
dollars.
Yeah.
Right? Most people watching this, they're making $14 an hour going, Hormozy told me I should never eat at home. I'm losing money.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of debate in that circle as well. But on the credit card side, I just don't miss it. I mean, I legitimately, you've seen my wallet.
Yeah.
It's just the Apple wallet, and I have one card
What's in
in
your
it.
wallet right now?
I just have my
Let's see.
I have my bank card and my license. That is it. You can see here. I'm not going to show you the card number. 'cause
Yeah,
I know you-
sure. Yeah.
But there's my license and my debit card, and you can see it says debit.
That's true.
Verify. I feel like a magician
That's
being
true,
like,
yeah.
is this your card? But that's it. And it's been such a freeing life because I used to have, multiple cards. Of which one should I use? What's going to be the best for cash back? And the mental energy I was spending and then going, am I utilizing the rewards to their full potential? And we talked about this the other night about like, what is the actual dollar value you can assign? And for people who are making crazy money and they've got the fanciest Amex cards, like you're utilizing all the value because you are super intentional. For most people, they're collecting the airline miles and they're like, I don't know how many miles this is because it's not actual air miles. If you have 40,000 miles, you're like, that feels like a lot. That'll get you to Boise one way if you're lucky from Nashville. And so a lot of people aren't doing the math on what these rewards are actually costing them and if it's actually worth it.